Hello there and welcome to Community Life. Here we talk with community experts about their life journeys and learn from each other. And today we have a conversation with Peter Van de Voorde, DevRel and Community Leader who speaks Dutch, French, and English, international speaker, proud husband and father of 4 kids, who loves board games and skiing and reading, and who chose his own Triple C title, Chief Community Coach. So, hello, Peter.
Hello, Yuri. It's amazing to be here. Thank you for having me.
I enjoyed talking to you from the moment we met and when we had this conversation about kids and all the stuff. And recently, just a few weeks ago, you shared parenting, it's a shitty business. So tell me more about that.
Well, you can see it literally, like with 4 kids. As a parent, 4 small kids, I've been doing diapers for the last 12 years, basically. So, yes, sometimes it is a shitty business, especially when you're potty training them and things go very, very, very wrong. It did make me learn that honestly, everything can smell, everything can be whatever. You need just wipes, water, cleaning agent, and everything will be fine.
Do you have
And it is what it is. And sometimes it's the middle of the night, sometimes it's the middle of the day, sometimes it's when you just have to leave for something very important. They're all nicely dressed up. It is what it is. And honestly, that's okay. That's life. Life can sometimes be shitty.
exactly? And do you have any tips how to teach kids for having proper potty business?
I'm still figuring it out after 4 kids. Each of them is different. Some, like with the eldest, it went automatically. He's like, I want to do this. It's done. The youngest now is kind of like, I don't want to do this. Why? Like, you can clean it up. So it's a bit of figuring it out. Like, they're all their own little individual people. They all have their own individual ways of working. I'm often saying that kids aren't born with a manual. They write them while they grow up. That is unfortunate for us as parents because we need to help them write the manual and we make all the mistakes and try to figure it out. And each of them is unique.
Yeah,
So I can't really help. I'm not like, you need to do this and this is going to work. There's like plenty of stuff out there. For me, each of them is different.
Yeah, I totally feel you. Like, even though I don't have 4 kids, just one and 2 dogs, but even seeing on my 2 dogs, even dogs have different characters. It's so weird. But yeah, I can imagine. And as a parent, I I at least I think so. It would be so nice to have same kids, the same as previous, and like do the same teaching and do the same stuff and have fun with them. But no, you have to learn from with every kid from scratch. And how, like for you, anyway, you have some rules on how to do it, you have some tips, you learn something, but how does it feel to raise a totally new kid? It's
It's,
still it's still totally new kid, you know?
yes, honestly, it's wonderful. It's exhausting. It can sometimes be terrifying and terrible, but it's also wonderful and amazing. Every single time you rediscover the world through their eyes. The first time they saw a cow, they were like, what is this big animal? Well, you're like, oh, yeah, I've seen this before. The first time they sit on a sandy beach, like when they're just really small and they sit on a sandy beach, it's like, what is this stuff? It is beautiful to see, to behold. And then they put it in their mouths and then you've got a problem. But anyway, it is, those things are unique and wonderful. And just getting to know them, getting to really know their personality, seeing them grow into those is beautiful. And can be challenging because they're not like you. You want them to be like you because then you understand them and you can help them. They are not, which can sometimes be very confronting. Because like for you, something is obvious, for them it's like the total opposite. And that's also okay. But that can lead to conflicts and those kind of things. And once again, as a parent, that's also something you need to teach them. Like, yes, sometimes people are angry. Yes, sometimes you're angry. This is the right way to channel this. This is why rules exist. Like I had a conversation with one of my boys yesterday, but why do I have to do this? Why? Because that's how society works. That's how people work together, by setting certain rules and expectations. Do you like those? Not necessarily. Do you need to follow them? Yes, because otherwise you get all of this negative stuff happening to you. But yes, sometimes you can be mad that you can't spend more time on your tablet, or that you have to do your homework, or that you have to wear clothes to school. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is.
How do you make sure to spend your attention equally to every kid?
Honestly, that's impossible. It all depends on where they are right now, what they need. You do your damn best, and that's about it. And you always feel guilty about not spending enough time with one of them, or two of them, or three of them, because sometimes one like really pulls in all of your attention for some reason, and then it's another one, and then sometimes it's two of them. You're always trying to think about it. You try to balance it out. Like with the two parents, you're always like, okay, maybe we should split up, but you also want to do things together. So one of the things we do is, so when our kids turn 6, we actually take them on a city trip, just them, with me and my wife. And so with our third one, Ruben, we're actually taking him to London next weekend. So that's a city trip with him, and he gets full control. Like, you want to do dinosaurs, we do dinosaurs. You want to eat pizza, we will eat pizza. You want to go to the zoo, we'll go to the zoo. You want to do, I don't know what, we'll go and do it. And that is like one way for us to really spend some quality time with a single one of them. The other ones are well taken care of. So that's how we try to do it a little bit. Also, just bedtime rituals. Just taking 10 minutes to like read a story, just be with one of them, and just be with them, give them a hug, ask them how the day was. That's also really important. But you can't say, well, now it's your hour, and then it's your hour, and then it's your hour, and then it's your hour. It's simply impossible. And you always feel like you didn't do enough. But that is unfortunately also life.
I can imagine Google Calendar with like, it's your schedule time, it's your schedule time. By the way, does he know that he will be able to do anything he wants, or it will be a surprise?
He knows. We've been talking to him about, like, we're preparing, and he definitely wants to do dinosaurs. He's a 6-year-old boy, so he definitely wants to do dinosaurs. I think he wants to maybe do the London Eye too, like the big Ferris wheel. And he wants to go swimming, which I'm not sure we can do in London, but we'll see.
But you have no choice, it's like whatever he wants. Not everything, I understand, not anything. And still, okay, so let's start from the beginning. Tell me about your parents. Who are they?
So my parents, my dad passed away this February, by the way, from lung cancer. So my parents, honestly, regular folks from Belgium. They both worked in the petrochemical industry, so oil mostly. My dad always was interested in computers, so I kind of got it from him, eventually becoming a programmer, like a software programmer. And they always loved traveling. So when I was a kid, we went skiing every single year. I now understand how much of an investment that was, and how much that was special. They wanted to take us to the US, so we went to Florida and did all of the amusement parks when I was 10 years old. They really, really loved traveling, and they've always been traveling. Like, once my brother and I got out of the house, they basically went nuts in traveling. They went everywhere. They saw the entire world. They spent New Year's Eve in Sydney. They traveled to the jungles in Southeast Asia. They went to Brazil. They did all the places. I think the only continent they haven't been to was Antarctica. So that's only travels. And also, my interest in computer science started when my dad took me to this Linux 4.0 whatever course when I was 13 years old. And I was like, oh, what can I do with all of this stuff? And then I wrote my first website in HTML, HTML 1 point something in Notepad. That was it. Bam, it worked. I had a wonderful website. And then I got addicted from there. And I was born and raised 20 kilometers from here. And in Belgium, we don't move around a lot. We're like, oh, we like this place where we were born. We'll stay here. We'll buy a house here. And that's about it.
It's still 20 kilometers, it's a long distance.
There are 2 rivers in in between us. So that's true, but yeah.
And why did your father do that? Did he want you to be a computer expert?
He was interested in it too. He just wanted to like understand things. He's always been technical. So my dad has dyslexia, so at school it was really, really difficult for him in the 50s. But he was always interested in tinkering with stuff. Like he also like did a lot of like carpenting. So he built most of the furniture my parents have. Like he liked building model sailboats, and then he started tinkering with electronics, mostly computers. Like he wanted to figure out, okay, how does a computer work? And then he wanted to understand more because he saw the future was in computers. He really saw this. And so he always kept playing around with computers as a hobby. He never went into like full-on programming or whatever, but he always kept playing with especially with Linux. He like his own personal machine was a Linux machine. He was always doing stuff with it. He was like regularly upgrading it, doing those kind of things. He learned BASIC a long time ago. All of those things. He just wanted to figure out how those things work. And I liked it. Like I liked the ability to rename a folder. I remember being in MS-DOS and like, oh wait, I can do this. And I can name multiple folders. And it can be something weird. Like I was like maybe 8 or something, whatever. And all of those things. Just I still remember having my very first ever conversation online during like an online chess game. I was talking playing chess with somebody in Canada. No idea what the name was. I have no idea what it said, but I still remember the fact that, oh my God, I am talking to somebody in Canada through the computer, which nowadays is like, and probably shows my age too. But anyway,
I feel like
so yeah.
I feel like nowadays kids are like, what are you telling? We can like easily talk to anyone. Like you are joking. What's in that, you know?
True.
And did you ever do Windows?
Yes.
Because I was thinking like, okay, Linux, most likely never
So
Windows.
it was mostly Linux. We had like several Windows machines, like one after the other. First one was still MS-DOS, then 3.11, and so on and so on. I think I had every single Windows machine until XP. And then for the job, I got a laptop, and that was Windows. Until I finally joined Atlassian, I got a MacBook. And since then, I'm addicted to MacBooks for my personal machine.
I had a conversation with Adrian Spear, and he told like, once go Mac, never go back.
The funny thing is, I'm not necessarily an Apple fanboy because I do have a Samsung phone. So I like Android too. I have a lot of the Google stuff. But for laptops, yes, once you go Mac, you never go back. They're just very high quality, very decent, great for traveling, wonderful battery, and they just work.
Anything you need, basically.
Yes.
And what about you and traveling? Do you like traveling?
I do. Thanks to the jobs I've done, I've seen a lot of places around the world already, which is totally like I'm still pinching myself every single day. I do like traveling, but I do miss my family if I travel alone. I miss them a lot. And when I joined Atlassian and I started traveling for work a lot, I did make the agreement with my wife that I would never take an extra day off to like explore the country or whatever I was been. So that meant, for example, that my first trip to Australia from Europe was 4 days. I was 4 days in Australia and I flew back home. And that is okay, because at a certain point in time, I was in a single year, I went to Australia 3 times and to America for like, I think 12 or 14 times. So if I would have spent 1 extra day on each of those trips just doing touristy stuff, that would have been more than 2 extra weeks. I would have been gone home, away from home. And so I'm a family man. I love my kids. I love my wife. I like traveling, probably with them. But if I travel for work, it is really like I land, I come in, I do whatever I need to do, the meetings and the stuff, and then I'm out again as quickly as possible.
How do your kids feel when you are not home?
They feel sad. They miss me, especially because when I am at home, I them from school, I bring them to school, I pick them up from school, and I do the afternoon activities with them. So then they spend a lot of time with me, and then when I'm gone, I'm like gone. So they miss me, they struggle with it. The two eldest understand it, the two youngest are still a bit too young to understand why daddy is doing this. But one of the things I always do is when I leave, I always hide little notes everywhere in the house for them. So they always go look for those first. So that's something I do. And I try to stay in touch over WhatsApp, over video calls, but that's sometimes really difficult because time zones come into play, they're busy with school, and even doing a video call with 4 kids, it's not easy.
Do they use one notebook or they have 4 notebooks?
It's no, one notebook, one laptop. And they're like, the youngest one is then hanging over like basically the camera, and then the oldest one is saying something from the back, and then the third one is coming in, and like, yeah. It's mostly just saying like, I'm fine, I'm good. One time I had to show my 6-year-old like where I was walking because I was walking in the street at that time. Because it was like, he heard about the war in Ukraine, and for some reason he thought the war was everywhere at that point in time. So he was like, Daddy, is there a war there? Can you show this to me, please? So I had to like calm him down and say like, it's fine. Look, this is just a street. I'm in Australia. It's totally fine. And he's like, oh, cool. Oh, there are other people there. Okay, it's fine. So it's those little things that sometimes is funny, or like, so what are you doing? Like, why is it dark? And like having to explain time zones. So yeah, for them, it's mostly daddy goes away, daddy goes talking to some people, daddy goes eating and drinking with people, and then daddy flies back.
Nice. Daddy goes, daddy walking some streets, daddy talking to people, daddy eating with people. Yeah, it's super nice. And what kind of notes do you leave for them?
Mostly that I love them and that I'm going to miss them. And then little things like have a nice meal, which I hide somewhere in between the sandwiches or in the fridge, or you've got mail, which I put into our mailbox, like, or good luck at school today, which I then put into their backpacks, all of those things.
Do they find them in the first day, or do they have to do their search?
Sometimes it takes them a couple of days to find all of them. Sometimes they find all of them in the first day.
Do you leave any hints for them?
No. I also don't tell them how many there are.
Quest game. Do they always find every piece?
No, actually, one time they found the one I hid the previous time I went away.
And still they are kind of evergreen, yes? So it works all the time.
Yes.
Great tip, like, and why is Sydney one of your favorite cities in the world?
So when I was 10 years old, I mean, you would have met me then. If you would ask me, what's your favorite place you want to go and visit in the world? It would have been Australia. When I was a teenager, I had an Australian flag hanging in my bedroom window. I had a travel guide to Australia as a 13-year-old birthday present. And I don't know why. Australia always fascinated me. And when I finally got the opportunity to go and visit, it just clicked. Like, the people in Australia are like laid back, wonderful people. It's a beautiful country. It's such a different vibe from anywhere else I've been. And so I like it. I like walking the streets in Sydney. I like talking to the people there. Love taking the ferry to Manly Beach and then just going to the beach there. There's so much to do there. There's so much interesting stuff to do. And also, it feels comfy and familiar, but it's also kind of exotic because it is literally the other side of the world. And then you leave Europe middle of winter, like jeans, t-shirt, hoodie, jacket, whatever. And then you fly through Singapore, which is basically, okay, I need to put everything away and just put shorts and t-shirts into Sydney. And then you come, like, it's summer, awesome. Then you come back and it's midwinter, minus 10 degrees again. So just that too. But I know it's just a feeling of being in that city, of talking to the people there, of the connections I've built there through my time at Atlassian. It's just a wonderful place. And like now with Humano too, where I work now, it's also an Australian company. Their headquarters is at Manly Beach, literally. It's 1 block away from the beach, so you can just go and surf if you want. And it's just a wonderful experience to be there. And it's just laid back, no worries made kind of culture, kind of vibe. It's just something that clicks with me. Like they'll tell you if they don't like you, they'll be honest with you. But it's okay to just be human. It's okay to not be perfect all the time, not be hustling and bustling all the time. It's okay to enjoy life and help others enjoy their lives. And that's what I really, really like about the Australian culture. This part I've seen. There are other parts of Australia that are problematic. I know, like it's not all rosy and sunshine, just like nowhere, no places. But for me, it just clicked, and it's always clicked. I've always been fascinated by Australia.
Since it clicked for you, have you ever thought of moving there?
I had the opportunity when I worked for Atlassian to either move to Sydney or to San Francisco. I didn't, because all of our network is here in Belgium. All our friends are here, family is here. We own a house that we completely renovated to be perfect for us and the family. Like finding a place with 5 bedrooms in Sydney is not possible, but not on my budget. Also, my wife has been a relationship therapist and psychologist for over 15 years now. She has built out her own practice here. She now has like 5, 6 people working with her. That would not be possible if he would move. She would have to give up her dream too. And that's not what I want for my family. Like I want to make sure they're surrounded by friends. I want to make sure they feel supported. I want to make sure they can be successful here too. And yes, I wouldn't mind going to Sydney for a while, but I like living here. I like going out there and visiting, but I like coming back here to Belgium. Honestly, I live in one of the best places in the world. From like political stability to economical stability to social contracts to all the things. And like it's exotic, yes, moving to another place. We've thought about it, but it kind of just doesn't feel like it's what we should do. We can better go and visit and then come back, and then we can see what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have thought about it. I had the opportunity, haven't done it. Maybe sometime in the future, who knows? You never know what's going to happen.
Let's move a little to your younger self. Tell me, what is the first memory of your childhood that comes to your mind right now?
Waking up after surgery. When I was 3.5 years old, I got eye surgery. And I remember waking up after surgery.
3.5 years old. And you tell me more about that.
So when I was born, my eyes were kind of crooked. And so they had to like write them up. Like my eyes are kind of effed up, trust me. But so they needed to set them straight. And they did this at like, I think 3.5 years old. And so the memory I have right now is that I was waking up in my pajamas, like one eye was closed, like all taped in. And I was in this bed with like these frames to the side so you couldn't fall out, like these kiddie frames. And my mom and my dad were there. And that's what I remember from that. That's probably one of my first memories that I could, I will have others, but that's one of the first I can still remember, and the oldest. I think it was also because it was traumatic, like having surgery is always traumatic. So
were you afraid at that moment?
Yes, but I also knew it had to be done because before that I saw double. And I still remember saying, I always have to pick the left thing because the left thing is the real thing. So if I saw 2 chairs, I had to sit on the left chair because the right chair actually wasn't there. And my eyes are still like 90% of the view, or 95 comes from my left one, and only 5 from my right one. So there's all kinds of stuff wrong with my eyes, but that's it.
All kind of stuff. You know, it's not funny, but you are talking about that in that funny way. So yeah, and I feel like you are just this kind of person who receive like what life gives you and then just deal with it. So
I've gone through a couple of things in life that definitely have hit home the message that honestly, life isn't perfect. Life can hit you when you least expect it, and it can hit you hard, really, really hard. And you're not some superstar in a movie that's all about you. Unfortunately, you're the extra in everybody else's movie. And you know what happens to the extras. You don't know what happens to the extras. So it is important to live life beautiful. It's important to live life by also caring for others. Care for yourself, but also care for others. And that's really difficult. And sometimes it doesn't work out. And like I've been really depressed and all those things too. But for me, one thing that really hit me hard was losing my daughter. So in between my two eldest boys, we had a girl called Laura. And at 20 weeks pregnancy, we learned that she had severe heart defects, like 7 severe heart defects.
Mm.
She had a problem in the connection between her stomach and the intestines. And she had Down syndrome. All of those combined gave her less than 5% chance to survive birth. She would immediately have to go into surgery, like literally immediately. First year would be spent in the hospital going from one surgery to another. Each of those would be less than 5% chance of survival. And quality of life was totally not guaranteed. And painkillers from babies actually don't exist. Because the reason people know a painkiller works is by asking you, do you still feel pain?
Yeah.
Or by completely knocking you out. It's one of those two. With babies, that's extremely, extremely difficult. So we made a very hard decision to let her go at 22 weeks. And for me, that was eye-opening. Oh my God, life can really, really, really hit you hard when you don't expect it. Because we were super happy she was going to be there. We were like super excited. Announced it to everybody, our friends and family. Like our eldest was wearing I'm going to be a big brother t-shirt. And then suddenly we had to arrange a funeral for her. And I can tell you the hardest thing that I ever did as a parent was carrying my daughter to her grave. But it also made it clear to us that we need to be conscious of what life gives us and be happy with what life gives us. And yes, sometimes it's lemons, sometimes it's terrible things that are happening to you. But the way we handle them, the way we talk about them, the way we share them can help us and help others move forward. And that's what Laura taught us is, yes, life sucks sometimes, very hard, but it can also be beautiful. And even in the terrible moments, there can be things of beauty. And that's what we try to keep on. And sometimes we forget about this, and then we get reminded. I have my own company called Polaris, which is the Latin name for the North Star. And I chose that name because I was telling my boys that, you see that little star over there? That's your sister.
Yeah.
And so I saw, at a certain point in time, I saw the eldest telling this to one of the youngest. Like, it was dark outside. It was like, you see that one? That's Laura. That's our sister. And so she's really part of our family. We talk about her plentiful. And we also help share her story. That's why I'm doing this too, to help others talk about it, because this happens more often than you think. And it's life-changing. Like, my life never been the same since, both in positive and negative ways. And that was definitely one experience for me. There have been others, but that's, for me, one of my life-changing experiences for sure.
It's hard, it's hard. I
Yes.
don't know, so, and
I'm happy you don't know, Yuri. But unfortunately, there are plenty of people out there who don't know. They can talk about it, and it helps. It's hard, but it helps too. And that's what we decide. Like, my wife and I decided very early on about it. Like she exists, she's real, she's part of the family. We're not going to not talk about her. We're going to tell her brothers about her. And so for them, they're like, yeah, yes, I have 3 brothers and a sister, but she's dead. Okay, that's how a 5-year-old says it, but that's fine.
I'm trying to prepare the next question, and it's a little hard, but
Just go for it.
Yeah, yeah. So once again, you're super open. You're having Laura with you, and you're talking about that. And even though it's hard, you're still making it kind of easy, I would say. And what changed in you internally? Like, have you ever thought about that? Like, what changed in a day you knew that she is not going to survive?
I I think at that point in time, I grew up completely, like at once. Before that, I was still like, I'm the owner of my own destiny. I can do whatever I want. I'm a white dude in tech. I have all of these privileges. The world is my oyster, all of those kind of things. And at that point in time, it hit me that that is not true. I do not control everything. I do not own my full destiny. Things can happen and will happen that I have no control over that will hit me hard. How do I handle those? How do I prepare or not prepare for those? And I think that is what changed in that one instance. Compare also, of course, the complete and utter fear and anger and sadness and despair around like the pure message you're getting, but also the basically the massive blow to the head of like, oh wait, we're not living in a happy rom-com movie. Not everything is perfect. And this can happen to me, this can happen to anybody. This can, like, she didn't deserve this, nobody does. But it does happen, and it does actually happen more often than we think, that we know.
Yeah.
And that is life too. And okay, how do I deal with this? How do I work with this kind of life instead of the rosy colored one view I had before? And I think it helped me grow a lot as a person. It helped me be more, in some way, more relaxed to problems. Like I'm like, okay, yeah, sure, we can figure this out. This is not the end of the world. I've seen
Yeah.
the end of the world. This is not the end of the world. And if it is for you, okay, that's fine. But let's take it easy. Let's take it step by step. We'll figure something out. And I think well, yeah, it definitely catapulted me into full on adulthood. Like, okay, this kind of thing can happen and will happen, even though you hope you will never have to experience it.
Yeah, I feel, you know, after the war, I also learned this thing that if you are healthy, alive, and your family is healthy and alive, everything else doesn't matter.
True.
So, yeah, I totally feel you.
I can imagine. With you in Ukraine, I can totally imagine you.
And describe one usual day of holidays with your family.
Okay, a usual holiday. The youngest gets up at like 6:37, which is way too early. And then after that, the other ones wake up, except the eldest. He sleeps in. And we have to, like, he's 12, 13, 13. Like, he's like, I'm a teenager. I'm going, like, noon is fine to get up and out of bed. So morning, mostly just, depending on where we are, either it's just playing around, like having breakfast, playing in the garden of the house we're renting or something. And then the afternoon, we're going to do something. We're going to visit something locally, go to a zoo, do an activity, whatever. And then the evening, once again, playing, maybe doing a board game, playing a board game with the eldest too, or with friends if because we're often traveling with friends. And then just trying to relax, let the kids play. Don't put too much pressure on, like, we need to do this and this and this and this, because it's already plenty of that kind of pressure in life anyway. But we did recently go to New York for a week with the kids. And then it was like, okay, morning, we wake up at this point in time, or we try to wake up at this time. We try to take breakfast this time. We try to get to the subway at this time. And then we go and do something. So every single day we did one thing in New York with the kids. And they helped pick what we were going to do. Like, we went to the Statue of Liberty, we went to the National Air and Space Museum. We went to World Trade Center and walked around over there. We went to the Harry Potter store, the Lego store, the Disney store, the M&M store, all of those places too. And so then it was like, once again, basically we plan one thing a day, we go do it. And in between, it's just like, okay, who wants to have an ice cream, who wants to do this, who wants to do this. We really let the kids help decide the flow of the holidays. And that helps also for us to connect and reconnect. Because during the school year, it's very much like, okay, this is the time you need to be at school. This is the time you need to be at your hobbies. This is the time you need to be going to bed. This is when you can play on your tablet. And holidays are like less structured in that way. We still want to do stuff, of course. You don't travel halfway across the world to not do anything and spend time on your tablet. But even there was time for like just relaxed time, hanging out. And that's how we try to do it. Like, I don't want to go and say like, we wake up at 7 and at like 7:30, we're off to do like a 20-kilometer hike. And then we're going to visit the city. And then at 9 p.m. we get home and you go to bed and then bam, next day the same thing. No, it needs to be relaxed too. It's, for us, holidays are a bonding experience. Like really bonding as a family, bringing us together, the six of us, because we need those things. Because like I have a busy job, kids have busy lives. My wife has a very busy job, which is often in the afternoon and the evenings. So we want to make sure we as a family come together and bond.
I need to know who is my friend there. So whose idea was to go to the M&M shop? Okay, got it.
And also the two eldest wanted to go too, because I used to work for MongoDB, which their headquarters is like 1 block away from Times Square, and the M&M store is on Times Square. So I regularly brought them M&Ms from the M&M store.
Got it. Got it. And how did you meet your wife?
That was 22 years ago, on May 1st.
You clearly remember the date, you know?
Yes. So the thing is, we both used to be youth camp counselors here in Belgium. So we did like summer camps, like 1 week long camps for kids aged between 10 and 18, different age groups. And the organization we were part of did every year at May 1st, which is Labor Day here in Belgium, they did this big event to like prep all the youth camp counselors for the next summer season. So it was always this cool activity, and I was part of the organizers team. I was already building communities at that point in time. And she was one of the attendees, and we got talking. And that's how I met her, and I was immediately struck by lightning. And then on the 7th of August of that year, we got together became a couple. On the 7th of August of 2008, I proposed. On the 7th of August of 2009, we got married, which also is easy because that's 7, 8, 9 for everybody who doesn't switch months and days.
Did you do it for easiness to have the 7, 8, 9 numbers?
No, but I did want to propose on the date we got together, and I did want to marry on the date we got together.
How are you connected to numbers?
To numbers, I have a difficult, well, no. As a programmer, I like numbers because they're easy. The problem is I inherited some of dyslexia from my dad, but in this calculator way. So I kind of like switch numbers all the time, especially the last 2 digits, because also in Dutch, you don't say 91, you say 1 and 90.
Okay.
So when you read it correctly, but then you say the last number before you say the second to last number. Yeah, I know. It's in German too, but yes. And so that sometimes mixes things up in my mind. Everything else, numbers. I like numbers. They help make certain decisions make easier because you can tell them data. But as a people person, I'm not fully connected to like, I just want to give me the numbers and I'll be fine. No, I want to hear the stories. Like I was talking about at the community in Belgium, like stories are the heart of your community. That is, the stories are the heart of your relations. Stories are the heart of your business. I want to understand what makes people tick, and that's not just numbers. So numbers, yes, and like 7, 8, 9, yes, because that's my marriage date. But everything else, okay, yes. When I play on the lottery, I use my kids' like birth dates for the numbers, but that's about it.
Did you ever win?
No, well, technically, I've won with
Yet.
Euro Millions, like €4 here, €5 there, whatever. But I think I'm still on a loss in total.
Yeah, it's always, life is always like that. You have to learn on your mistakes, and then one day. And do you always use your kids' birthday dates on lotteries?
Yes, I do, but I don't always play. Like I play when it's like a big jackpot or whatever, just for fun, because I do understand statistics and I do understand that there is a very, 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 very small chance I would win.
But still,
That's
anyway,
it.
what flowers does your wife like?
She likes lilies and roses.
I definitely know that you have roses in your garden, but do you have lilies?
No, but we do have. I know, we used to, but well, kids and digging basically. Uh, but I do have 6 rose bushes. One of them is planted in Laura's honor.
Mhm.
So a friend of us brought that rose bush like a month after she passed away. And the funny thing about the rose bush too is it was the last one of the lot, and it was kind of like misshapen. So normally all the roses, like you've got the stern, and then all the roses blow up from there. But this was kind of like all to the side, which I found wonderful because Laura also wasn't perfect. That was a problem. Her body didn't got built correctly. And so that bush has been in her garden now for 10 years. Laura turned 10 a couple of weeks ago. And every single time I see it, it reminds me of her. Every single time I see it, it reminds me of, okay, life is fragile. Life isn't perfect, but it can still be beautiful. And I once read a quote saying, you shouldn't be saying that it's too bad roses have thorns. You should be saying, it's awesome that thorns have roses.
Yeah.
And I like that one too. And just seeing those roses bloom, and like we now have 6 bushes, it just reminds me of her. It reminds me of like how beautiful life can be, but also how fragile and how thorny life can be sometimes. And also, I just like roses anyway. So I try to take well care of them. They bloom twice a year, so I'm super happy when they do. And I sometimes do put a picture of them on LinkedIn or whatever. That's true.
What kind of gardener are you?
A gardener by necessity. A big garden. I have to like mow the lawn. I have to weed the weeds because otherwise it's going to basically overtake it. And it would be more like an Addams Family garden with like thorn bushes and nettles everywhere. So I really have to make sure it's like, okay. I like doing it though, on one way or form, because the one thing we do in our profession is we don't see the impact of what we do. Often we don't, or we see it months or years after through a story or somebody we meet again. And with gardening, it's easy. You take your lawnmower, you go over your lawn, and it's beautiful. You snip the roses, and you've got like nice thing. You do all the weeds away, and okay, it's nice again. You see the result of your labor immediately, and that's really nice. It's a nice distraction. Also, it's a great way to start thinking things through. Like, I still remember my first public presentation I did. I spent hours and hours and hours going through my slides in my head and through my story in my head while mowing the lawn, while working in my garden. Because it's a great, like, you're doing something with your hands and your mind can just wander. And I really like that. So I kind of learned how to do this and like doing it. I'm definitely not really good at it. Like any professional gardener would look at my garden and say, what did you do? But that's okay. It's my garden. My kids like it. They've got everything they need in there. It's like honestly, it's almost like a kid's playground now, and that's fine.
Have you ever heard of definition of wabi-sabi?
No, I have not. Please enlighten me.
I've recently saw a LinkedIn post about this book, and it's I'm like on 20-25% of reading it right now, and it's a beauty of being imperfect. So what you are explaining right now sounds very similar to that, and I feel like, there is no perfection in the world, at least perfection in nature, because sometimes I see those roses or other different flowers or spider nets or like all the stuff, and I cannot even imagine how perfect it is. But I believe that everything what human do just can't be perfect. So I'm with you on that side, and I believe that I would love your garden. So I hope that one day we'll be in Belgium, and that's how you ask somebody to visit them.
You're definitely welcome. If you're ever in Belgium, just let me know.
Thank you very much. I will definitely do that. And talking about your talks, how many talks did you already make?
I have no idea. I've done many. And the funny thing is, most of them, even though I was a software developer for trade, were non-technical. They were all about soft skills. They were all about what I saw was missing in a lot of technical people, were the soft skills, the ability to talk to other people in their words, in their language, to talk to management, speak up, to communicate, to understand that you're building for people. You're not building for a computer. You're not building for yourself. You're building for somebody who's not as technical as you are, which I still see in a lot of programs right now is like, this is not built for people. This is built for programmers. And so I think that's where I got started. And I just like those kind of topics, talking about people, about teams, about like Agile is really big for me also. Like I'm even going to the Agile conference in Orlando in a couple of weeks. It's once again about helping others excel at what they do. I quickly figured out I was a good programmer. I wasn't great, but I was really good at making other programmers excel at what they do. And then it kind of snowballed from there. And I did a bunch of talks about Atlassian stuff too, and about Atlassian's way of working. I did talks about, honestly, the 7 evil or agile skills you need to succeed, which was basically 47, I think, supervillains in my slides. And I was talking how you can learn from those supervillains to be more successful in agile and in ways of working. And I challenged my audience to actually name every single villain, which was really difficult, but some could. And so, yeah, I've always been fascinated by people, even though I work in a technical world and I like technology and I understand technology, I've always been fascinated by people. And it kind of grew, like I've also learned so much from my wife on how people work, how people think, how imperfect we all are in our own unique way. I sometimes say, in my world, I'm normal, everybody else is abnormal. That's kind of how everybody feels. And I just try like figuring those things out, connecting with people, helping them, seeing their story, listening to their story and seeing them be successful and being successful in that way myself too. So yeah, I think all my talks, looking back at almost all of my content was about soft skills, about people, about teams, about working together, about things I've experienced, I've learned, and I wanted to share with others. Were all of those talks good? I have no idea. Were they all interesting? I have no idea. But for me, it was, if I can have an impact on a single person in my audience, I was happy. If one person came up to me afterwards and told me, thank you, or like this was interesting, or I have to think about this, or I learned something new. That talk was a success for me. And that has happened with every single session I've done. So technically, in my opinion, every single talk was successful. Maybe some were more successful than others.
You know, like, yeah, what's the success? So if it's I believe that it's for, something for everyone, and I feel very much your way that if one person came to you and told that you help them in something, it's already a success. So, and what is your favorite supervillain and why?
My favorite supervillain and why? That's a really good question. Honestly, I can't really say pick one. Like the problem with supervillains is they're all like this one-dimensional caricature. And honestly, Snape from Harry Potter. Because he's both a supervillain, but he's also a real person who has feelings and has all this troubled mind and doesn't really know what to do with it. And he's done really, really bad stuff, yes. But also there's more to it than just, well, I'm supervillain, I want to like rule the world, blah, blah, blah. So it's his Snape.
Got it. How many speakers' dinners did you have?
Too many. That's one of the reasons why I'm watching what I eat nowadays.
What was the best one?
That is a really, really good question. Once again, I'm thinking. I honestly really like the one we just had with the Community Rebellion. Because the company, because of the wonderful conversation I had with Millie next to me about life, the journey through life, how she ended up doing her generalist community. I really, really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the entire event, but I really, really enjoyed the speaker dinner too. Other ones, memorable ones are, well, Java 1 wasn't really a speaker dinner. The thing was with Java 1, as a speaker, you got full access to everything. And one of the things they did was this amazing party at the end of the conference, and they had Aerosmith performing.
Wow.
And I'm a big Aerosmith fan, so I saw that for free. So that was definitely like, okay, there was dinner too, but just the concert was like, whoa. But it wasn't just necessarily a speaker dinner.
Yeah.
But I think that one, like the one with Community Rebellion, just because it clicked with everybody, and like I didn't really know that many people yet, and like just those conversations was really, really beautiful. And I think that's what's most important for me with dinner. It's not necessarily the food; it's the conversations that are happening. It's the people who are there. I think that's what most dinners should be about. It's the people, not the food necessarily.
Exactly. By the way, small spoiler, Millie will be one of the next guests of Community Life. And what's one question I should definitely ask her?
Well, I can't tell you now because I'm just going to... I would say the question you need to ask her is, honestly, just ask about her life, her journey. Like what she told me about it's so inspiring and such a wonderful, wandering journey. And also she's a very, very like strong person. She knows what she wants. She goes for it. She's not afraid. And I admire that. So I would say ask about her journey, how she ended up where she is right now. And then honestly, what's next for her? But I don't think she knows.
Yeah, just go with the flow, you know.
Yes.
Why you couldn't stop listening to Sabaton's song To Hell and Back in 2022?
So the thing is, when I had to choose which major I was going to do at college and university, it's either going to be history or computer science. I've always been a big fan. I've always been interested in World War II for some way or another. Like Belgium, of course, has lots of stuff happened in World War II. So has Ukraine. So has Poland. So has every single country in Europe, basically.
Yeah.
But it's always been interesting to me to learn more about it. I even interviewed old RAF pilots about it at a certain point in time. And my first website was about World War II planes.
Oh.
So Sabaton is metal, and I like metal music. But they tell stories about what happened in different wars, like little stories, little anecdotes about different things that happened in those different wars, like First World War, Second World War, Swedish Empire, all of those places. And the combination of those two, like the history lessons, and I learned some new stuff from Sabaton, and the music, I really like the music, just kept me like listening to them basically on repeat. And they actually have a YouTube channel called Sabaton History Channel, in which they explain every single song and the entire history behind it, which I can appreciate as a history buff and I can appreciate as a metalhead. It shows that they really, really care.
Yeah.
It's also great community building, once again.
It's double click, you know?
It is.
It's a song and history. And yeah, I like from my perspective, I always love the meaning in song, because if like it's a good melody, but there is shitty meaning, doesn't work. But sometimes even a shitty melody can work if it's a good meaning. But yeah, in your case, it's just clicked all together, and wow, it's really nice. I have to check them. Yeah, thank you very much for sharing that.
You're welcome.
And you know, Peter, I really have much more questions for you, and I wish to have the sky as the limit to our conversation, but time is the limit. So let's jump to the rapid fire question. Are you ready?
Yes.
Speak or listen at the conference?
Listen.
Sabaton or Aerosmith?
Sabaton.
What are your favorite color and song?
Green, and honestly, Losing My Religion by REM.
If you were a superhero, what superpower would you have?
Luck.
Who do you learn from in the community world? Name just one person.
Jamie Langscott.
Name two people who I should definitely have this community life conversation with.
Darlene August from Atlassian. And Jamie Langscott if she hasn't been on yet.
Got it. Is there one question that I definitely should have asked you but didn't?
What's my favorite board game?
Totally. What's your favorite board game?
Settlers of Catan and the entire series around it.
Do you play this game with your oldest one?
With the two eldest, yes.
Two eldest. Yes. Okay, so basically we made it. And you know, Peter, when I met you, we immediately started this conversation about your children. You told me about Laura, and even I don't know why, but I immediately felt that you are a very kind, open, and nice person. And you are making others, at least you made me feel very comfortable while you were talking about really uncomfortable things. So it's talking about Laura. It's really hard, but you are making this in such a great way. I just can't explain. I just feel it with my heart. That's exactly what you were talking about the heart of community. And I don't know, somehow you are speaking to my heart. So, and this conversation is just proved me that you are really speaking to heart even more. And yeah, I just loved our conversation. So thank you very much for being who you are and for being such kind and open person.
Thank you for those nice words.
Really and it's true. It's true. You know, it's not like I want to please you, but that's exactly how I feel.
Thank you. I love this conversation. I love the questions. You definitely prepared.
Just a little.
Really loved it. Thank you very much, Yuri.
Thank you very much, Peter, and see you in the community world.
See you in the community.
And thank you so much for listening. If you like the show, hit the like button or 5 stars and share it with your friends. That's it. We're done. See you in the next episode.